Welcome to the USCCA's Hot Seat. What we've got today is Ed Combs, Associate Editor of Concealed Carry Magazine, and Brock Mikowski, Senior Member Service Advisor from the USCCA, and we're going to be talking about the differences, pros and cons of 9mm versus 45. We also have a special offer for you. I'll tell you more about that at the end of the show, and this is live. So I want to make sure everybody comments down below. Tell us what you think. Tell us if this is something you want to see more of. Ed, because we are talking about 45 versus 9mm, and 45 is the oldest of the two cartridges, I want you to start. What makes 45 ACP a great cartridge for self-defense?
I'm not entirely positive that 45 is the oldest of the two cartridges. However, I am carrying a 45 right now because I buy guns in short based on whether they feel like they were custom made to my hand. I love the 9mm. My duty gun was a 9mm, full-size Glock 17. I love the 9mm. The M&P shield in 9 felt good. It felt good. I could shoot well enough with it. The M&P shield in 45 ACP felt like it was designed to my hand.
The first time I shot that pistol, I thought, man, this is an amazingly smooth shooting gun, especially for a 45 in that sense. It really is.
It really is. So I don't see comparing the two of them with regard to what is like capital B better as a very reasonable expenditure of time. It's not apples to oranges, but it's definitely oranges to bananas. Like during a crisis, there is zero difference between them. I mean, oranges obviously got you on capacity, like you can just section it out more, bananas thicker, whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make an extreme amount of difference with modern ammunition. All the ammunition we've tested, what have we seen over and over?
Yeah, we're getting 13 inches of penetration in the gel block when we're doing that.
Just watch the clear impact videos sometime. Oh, look at that. Yeah, about 13, 15 inches of penetration. That looks good, just like it is in the box. So
yeah, it's starting to get a little bit repetitive when we, with the modern ammo, it's hitting and going in there. But from your perspective, you're carrying the 45 because the gun feels good. Do you trust the round?
I absolutely trust the round. That's another thing that I think a lot of folks, not to call Brock young, because I'm certainly by no means an old person.
I will call Brock young because I am an old person.
One of the things that's easy for a lot of people to lose sight of is the cultural importance of the 45 ACP. There's a lot of guys, they don't want to drive a European car, they're not going to wear European swim trunks, and they're not going to carry a European gun. Period. They're not going to carry a European cartridge. They're going to carry the 45 ACP because it is as American as anything else that you can think of.
And, you know, it still goes back to World War II. 5 million different versions of the 1911 coming back with all of those guys who were overseas.
Yes, indeed.
Everybody shooting the 45 ACP, and it got this reputation as a fight stopper.
And it is. It's not to say that a 9mm is not a fight stopper, but when you have personally seen attackers stopped with a 45, and your father has, and your grandfather has, and your people have been fighting in wars since the Revolution, it's very difficult to show that person some numbers or show them a video and say, well, this proves why the 45 isn't as good as the 9. It doesn't work that way. It never has and it never will.
And we also have the Jeff Cooper factor.
Yes, indeed.
So, you know, Colonel Cooper came out with, you know, we can't touch any caliber that doesn't begin with a 4.
Correct.
And at the time he said that, there was one, 45 ACP.
Right. And again, it's tough to argue with that. That wasn't just some, you know, internet mall ninja. That was Jeff Cooper. He was a Marine Corps veteran. It just too many people have saved their lives and the lives of others with the 45 ACP cartridge to poo-poo it the way some people seem to want to poo-poo the 45.
Brock, what do you have to say about this?
All great points. None of it untrue. 45 has been around for quite a while. It has a very rich history in America, in overseas wars that America was fighting in, but also on the front line of our nation's defense within the borders. Cops carrying 45s, people using 45 to defend their home or carrying it for personal protection. So I can't argue with anything Ed has said, especially along with the lines of carrying a 45 gun is going to probably be most likely double stacked, or if it is double stacked, it's going to have a wider grip. It's probably going to fit somebody with larger hands much better. So telling somebody who 45, let's say they carry a Glock 21, something with a larger grip, fits their hand very well, telling them they shouldn't carry that gun because it fits them well, but 45 isn't the right round for them. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to try to convince them to go away from a gun that they are going to carry every day. If we told Ed he needs to carry a shield every single day in 9, and he said, absolutely not, I don't enjoy carrying it, I don't enjoy shooting it comfortably, and he's going to leave it at home and that's his only option, he should probably pick a Glock 21 or something that fits his hand better.
So let's talk about the 9mm cartridge specifically. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it?
9mm cartridge itself has taken great strides over the past about 20 years or so to really be effective. They've made great improvements with ballistics, but to be honest with you, ballistics isn't the end-all be-all of this argument or debate or discussion we're having here. There's a lot of other factors that go into the 9mm, such as the capacity in your gun, the comfortability of shooting it. Can you control the 9mm that you're carrying? So there's a lot of other factors besides just the cartridge itself that goes into why somebody would choose to carry a 9mm over 45 or 40 or whatever other cartridge they're going to carry.
Why do you choose to carry a 9mm?
Because of capacity. The same size gun that I carry right now, I have 15 rounds in the gun itself, fully loaded. If I were to switch that exact frame gun to 45, I'd probably drop down to 10 rounds or so.
Yeah.
So just based upon capacity and knowing that 9mm has worked and can work, I don't want to sacrifice rounds just for just because 45 might have a rich history.
Well, I think what we're trying to do is overcome some of the history of both of these cartridges. And in the early days, 9mm, especially 9mm full metal jacket, there's not much in the terms of stopping power over anything else. A 9mm is poking a little bitty hole, but you can poke a whole bunch of them when you have it in there. And we'll get into that discussion of stopping power, and we can go back and forth, or either of you chime in when we're talking about this. You'll hear people say, well, a 45 has more stopping power. And let's start with Ed. Let's talk about stopping power a little bit.
The filthy, dirty, awful secret is that until you get to about 500 foot-pounds and or about 1,500 feet per second, you're poking a hole. Whether it's the size of the unexpanded patch round or whether it's your pedaled out 45 ACP, et cetera, until you hit about 500 or about 1,500, you're poking a hole. And so stopping power, yes, there are a few more foot-pounds in that 45 ACP round, and depending on what your attacker's doing, that is going to make a difference in whether or not they fall over after they get hit, not whether you knock them over. What Brock was saying about capacity is true. I lose one by going with the 45 shield rather than the 9mm shield. And yeah, as a rural deputy sheriff, absolutely, it was a 9mm, and I had the 33 round sticks in my squad bag and all kinds of other stuff. I mean, I understand that bullets in the air is the name of the game when you find yourself in a shooting confrontation. But also, like Brock, I'm in the business of getting the right guns in the right people's hands. And so if they try a 45 once and they hate it, then who was it? Louis Auerbach, one of the best instructors ever. He had zero interest in arguing whether you like 9 or 45 or Glock or 1911 or whatever. He'd say, well, what do you like? Well, I like the Glock. And he'd cut you off. He'd say, okay, good. And then we're going to go from there. Like there was zero interest in arguing about it. And in a lot of ways, I find myself in that camp where if I can get somebody with something that they like, that they are confident in using, and that they, like Brock said, will carry every day, that's pretty much the end of my interest. And I'll, in an academic sense, I'll continue talking to them about it. But that's my main concern.
Brock, I ordered you to volunteer to do some research on stopping power. What'd you come up with?
That it's basically a myth. There really is no such thing as stopping power in the context that most people try to talk about it. They try to put stopping power 9 over 40 or 40 over 9 over 45, et cetera, et cetera. And like Ed said, 1,500, 2,000 feet per second, until you reach that in a rifle caliber or velocities, stopping power really isn't a thing. A handgun is not the best gun to take to a gunfight. You should probably take a battle rifle of some kind, a 308 or something along those lines. So when somebody gets real impassioned about stopping power of the 45 over the 40 or et cetera, they kind of lose me in that debate because it doesn't hold much water, especially since when you start talking about actual human, what happens to a human when they're shot with any of the pistol calibers, there really isn't much temporary wound cavity destruction at all until you hit into the 1,500, 2,000 feet per second. So it's all permanent wound cavity type stuff that we want to look at. And we're really arguing 9mm versus 11mm, which is what 45 ACP is, if you want to put it in similar terms. So arguing 2mm in permanent wound cavity isn't a whole lot of room. I'd much rather get a bunch of rounds and sacrifice those 2 millimeters.
Yeah, and I just came back from Force Science Institute classes, and at the certification class out there, one of the things they discussed was the FBI protocol, which now states that, guess what? There is absolutely no difference. What will stop a human being when you're shooting him with a handgun is the psychological aspect of him getting shot. That's the most important thing. If he notices he's getting shot and he doesn't like it, then he will stop his violent behavior. Until that point, handgun rounds of any caliber didn't seem to make any difference at all. So, anything else you would like to add, Ed? That would be a no.
Buy a gun and carry it. Buy a gun that you like. Find one that you have fun shooting. Find one that you can shoot well and carry it. Apart from that, I'll stay out of your way.
Brock?
Same. Carry a gun every single day. If I ask you what caliber gun you're carrying and we're in an impassioned debate about caliber and you tell me you're not carrying a gun that day, it's over. We're done. We're not even talking anymore.
Yeah.
So
He's not going to your birthday party.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Unless you have ice cream cake from DQ, because that's the best stuff ever.
Tough call.
Any good day ends with ice cream.
That's
Brock.
exactly right.
It's just the way
Yep.
that it should
So carry
go.
your gun. That's
So-
the main point.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on this first ever edition of the Hot Seat at the USCCA. We may not have solved all of your questions about 9mm or 45. It's really not a debate we can solve. Like Ed says, like Brock says, get a gun and carry it. We will not argue with you about what the caliber should be. And I promise you that before we go, we'd have a special offer for you for staying here all the way to the end. What we have is a special deal on our new book, 30 Days to Concealed Carry Confidence. There's a link on the screen somewhere. Am I supposed to point up or down? There's a link up. I'm supposed to point up. There's a link. Click on the link. And for today only, and I think tomorrow, I should look on my notes, but time is limited. This is a limited time offer. You get 30 days to concealed carry confidence for 49% off.
That's almost half.
You're absolutely correct. It is almost half.
Wow.
In rehearsal, you weren't supposed to hit me. You may have hit my microphone.
Oh, you told me to work on
Yeah,
my back.
work on your backhand. So 49% off, 30 days to conceal carry confidence if you click on the link today and maybe tomorrow, but do it right now because you want to get that book right away. I'm Kevin Michalowski, editor of Concealed Carry Magazine. Thank you for watching USCCA's Hot Seat.